Welcome to the Gorgeous Guru podcast. I'm your host, Day, the Gorgeous Guru. On this podcast, I'll be sharing candid commentary, practical advice, and intuitive insights on life, love, current events, and everything in between. If you're craving real talk, inspiration, and soulful guidance, you're in the right place. So tune in, get comfortable, and get ready to be inspired. Greetings, everyone. Welcome into another episode. Today, I'm posing the question, did feminism and the women's movement destroy marriage? Now, hear me out, y'all. This is not what I was originally going to discuss. The original question was going to be, did casual sex destroy marriage? Now, what's crazy is I wake up in the middle of the night and my spirit guides are like, no, it's not casual sex. It's feminism. It's the women's movement. And I was like, you gotta be shitting me. But after some time, I kind of had like an epiphany and I saw what they meant. So the reason why I framed the question this way, right, and asked, did feminism destroy marriage, is because what I'm being shown spiritually is that the increase in casual sex and the acceptance of it, right? So at some point that wasn't widely accepted. It happened, people did it, but it wasn't something that was practiced as excessively as it is now. What my spirit team showed me was that the feminist movement, the women's movement, and this focus on reclaiming the body was distorted, right? And this distortion led to the increase of casual sex. So the spirit guides were like, yes, it's great to claim your body to be a sovereign being, right? To be able to be independent and autonomous. But the way that was distorted was that it was like, hey, this is my body. I can do what I want. And what I'm going to do is go sleep with who I want when I want. And I was shown that this was one of the declines that has led to the destruction of marriage as we know it. I wasn't prepared for that, y'all. I'll be honest. You know, I didn't see the connection between feminism, the women's movement, and, oh shit, honey, they just told me promiscuity, being promiscuous. Casual sex. I didn't see that. Oh gosh, this is going somewhere I did not expect it to go. So that was one of the reasons I was going to say that marriage has been destroyed, was because of the increase in casual sex. And mind you, this is not just for women, but the woman holds a very important role on the planet. So the divine and spirit is always going to hold us to a high standard. I know it's not fair. I didn't make the rules, honey. That's just what it is. So we're being shown that the feminist movement, the women's movement, led to increased promiscuity, casual sex, which contributed to the breakdown of marriage, the institution of marriage, and family units. Another thing that I was shown as well was that women being invited into the workplace also had an impact on marriage. This one right here is not a horrible thing, y'all. So there was a time when women had to depend on men for their safety, for their care, and the like, right? So there were lots of marriages and unions that took place simply because of that reason. Women needed safety, women needed resources. They could only get those through men, right? And then things shifted. Women were allowed into the workplace, right? Women are being seen as equals, feminism. And as they entered the workplace, here we go again. My guides are telling me there has been a decline in marriage in the family unit as a result. Why I say this is not a bad thing completely, though, y'all, is because there were so many marriages that were formulated or built on the foundation of a woman needing to be protected and cared for by a man, that many women were with really unhealthy men, were in very toxic and abusive relationships. This being invited into the workplace, being able to work alongside men, actually gave those women an out, and it set the stage so that women don't have to align with men just because they have to be cared for, right? So that's the good thing about it. But again, my guides are also showing me that this led to the erosion of marriage as an institution and the family unit. Not always bad, right? Because like I said, there's some women who were bound to men who were abusive, but that was the only way they could survive. Now, much of what I'm discussing, y'all, is the Western society's expression of marriage, right? All throughout the world, there are different expressions of marriage, although a lot of these different cultures see women as less than. So they experience some of these issues as well. But marriage was something that was socially, acceptable and pushed, right? It was a cultural requirement. So men and women were taught to come together, procreate, and that was what was held up at one point. I don't really see people prioritizing marriage as much anymore. Maybe it's the circles I'm in, but that doesn't seem to be something that's held up on a pedestal. I see more people either traumatized by past relationships, and because of that, they avoid relationships altogether. I see people just unable to really come together and form relationships. And then the people that I've noticed have gotten married are usually in some really toxic situations, right? So at one point, marriage was like this on this pedestal. It's not so much anymore. And I'm kind of being shown that this is something that has been kind of put into place, the breakdown and the destruction of the coming together of the man and the woman to create family units. For whatever reason, I won't get into that. Hopefully my guides don't push me to get into that. But yeah, so these are the things that came up. Casual sex being more readily available and accepted has driven people away from marriage, as has women's ability to provide for themselves. So they don't have to align with a man for provision, and then for men, I'm sure at some point in history, one of the lures of marriage was that you get to have sex consistently, but if you can get that from other people and get emotional support and all of the other things that you may be looking for, a meal here or there, why do you have to get married? Now, it's not all doom and gloom. I always am going to look for the silver lining, right? So the destruction of the institution of marriage actually provides an opportunity to address the issues that were not working, right? The things that were not good about it, and helps us to tap into higher expressions of love. So I do believe at some point people will pivot back, go back to not women being less than or women needing to be, provided for by men. Not that, in particular. I do believe we will go back to more traditional living where casual sex is not as common, right? It's not viewed as a norm. Hookup culture won't be like the thing like it is now. I do feel like we're moving back to that. And I do see that men and women of higher consciousness are going to be drawn together in the days, months, years to come. It's happening. But like I said, what I like about this is that it gives us the opportunity to grow, to go higher, to evolve. So based on what my spirit guides have shown me, I really do think it's the feminist movement and the women's movement that caused the destruction and the breakdown of marriage and the family unit. But at the same time, I don't think it's purely a bad thing. Good is going to come out of this because the foundation it was built on originally was not strong. It wasn't balanced. It wasn't fair. It wasn't just for men and women. And we're going to move into a period where it will be. On every episode, I share gorgeous guru prompts, right, which are questions for reflection or journaling prompts. And not really journaling prompts this time, but what do you think? Do you think feminism destroyed the institution of marriage? And I want to be clear, y'all, I'm not saying putting women on equal footing and giving them rights is what led to this. I'm talking about some of the distorted ways women viewed the feminist movement that led to the destruction and the breakdown of marriage. Okay, just to be clear, do you think this is something that led to the breakdown of the family unit and marriage? And what do you think we could do differently or need to do differently moving forward to evolve the institution of marriage? If you want to comment on this episode, you can do so on YouTube or on Instagram at the Gorgeous Guru Podcast. And if you're enjoying the podcast, consider becoming a monthly supporter of the show. All of your donations are a great help. Thank you so much to those of you who have signed up already. If you're interested in signing up to support the show, you can do so at thegorgeousgurupodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. You could have spent this time doing anything, but you decided to spend it with me, and I'm grateful. I hope you'll join me next time. Peace.